Good Thursday morning to you. As we continue our preparation this Holy Week, we've talked about Maundy, Thursday, we talked about Good Friday, and now it's our time to talk about Easter. But don't think I'm going to get too far ahead in the story. We all love Easter. We love the celebration. We love the narrative. We love the joy that comes with the day of knowing that Christ has risen. And of course, our immediate and almost incomprehensible response is, He has risen indeed. We don't always know how to explain it in such detail of what God does through His Son in the tomb. There was a question in my Bible study yesterday that talked a little bit about, well, if Jesus promises from the cross, the man who hangs to the right of Him, today you will be with me in paradise, and we recite in the Apostles' Creed, and He descended into hell, and on the third day He rose again, how do we figure in all of those details? Well, the simple answer is we can't. We cannot comprehend the fullness of what God does in Jesus Christ. From Maundy, Thursday through Good Friday to Easter Sunday, we really fully cannot comprehend the fullness of God's love as He suffers and dies on the cross, as He rests in the tomb, and as He rises. There's a Canadian artist that once tried to depict what the resurrection meant to him. And he did a charcoal sketch of Jesus coming from the tomb. And really all you see is Jesus laugh. In fact, you can Google laughing Jesus and you can see that portrait. In one of the churches I've served, that portrait hung in the fellowship hall as a gift from one of the families, because for them, that is what it meant to be part of the congregation, to have a Jesus who laughs in the face of death. As you think about this Holy Week, as you make your way from Maundy, Thursday to Good Friday, before you get to Easter, I encourage you to spend a little time on Silent Saturday, whether it's just a little bit of quiet time or it's the whole day. Once upon a time when my kids were little, we would spend the whole day baking muffins, and we would bring them as part of our gift to the Easter breakfast for our congregations that we served. It was a treasured time when my kids were little of baking muffins and playing board games and having it truly be silent, free of electronics and TV and movies and all the things that just busy our lives and complicate our lives. As my kids have gotten older, it's been harder to maintain that silent Saturday. And I have to confess to you, on this silent Saturday, I will be anything but silent as I cheer on my son who is playing 7-on-7 football. But to find some space, to find some time, to remember that Jesus didn't have to spend 3 days in the grave. He did so to prove that He crushed sin, death, and the devil, that He conquered death in a way we can't. In Jewish understanding, to spend 3 days in the grave was to create to conquer any suspicion that the person wasn't completely dead. It was a Jewish understanding that after 3 days, the soul would actually depart from the body. So for Jesus to spend 3 days in the grave, He is proving that He died, and now He is raised, and only God can make that happen. I think about the Easter message and the power of Christ in our lives. It's on a magnitude that some of us can barely comprehend, but it's also in such a microcosm as well. The power in God in our lives changes us. It changes us in the simplest ways. It allows us to receive forgiveness we don't think ourselves capable to receive. It allows us to experience love we could hardly imagine. It allows us to create relationships and to have bonds with one another. It allows us to find a new life, one that this world cannot give, one that we can't figure out for ourselves, a life that comes only from what God has done for us. As you think about this time, from Maundy, Thursday to Good Friday to Easter, I encourage you, before the celebration, before the trumpets, before the big party that we get to celebrate together on Easter Sunday, take a little time and simply take a deep breath. That deep breath is the breath of God within us. As God created us once, God continues to sustain us through his word by breathing into us a life-giving breath that continues to move us forward no matter what in this life may challenge us. Maybe it's been a rough year. Maybe it's been a rough couple years. Maybe you're struggling with a disease or a diagnosis. Maybe relationships in your life have been stretched to the max. Maybe you're just trying to figure out what your new purpose is or what the next day might bring. Maybe you too have known the depths of grief. The gift of Easter is it reminds us that there is nothing in this world we can experience, nothing in this life that we can imagine, nothing in this life that can be part of our life that Jesus didn't experience for himself. He grieved, he wept, he became angry and frustrated at things that didn't make sense and weren't appropriate. He battled against the system of the time. He was scorned and abused and disregarded. He was mocked and betrayed. Jesus experienced all that we experience in our lives and even more, because Jesus experienced the cross, a true gift for you and for me. As we approach this Easter Sunday, we do so with a gratitude that we can hardly fathom for what God has done for us. So no matter which gospel narrative you like, my preference is always John. I'll be preaching on Luke this Sunday. No matter what gospel you read the story out of, no matter what your practice is between Good Friday and Easter Sunday, I challenge you, I encourage you to find a little quiet time, to be silent, to be grateful, to be filled with a love that is beyond words and a peace that passes all understanding. Because soon we will celebrate that Christ has risen. And indeed, he has risen.